Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Another episode of Trash Talk. I'm TJ O'Connor. With me, as always, Damion, the Wolverine Hill. Trash Talk is brought to you by our sponsors, Valhalla Combat Sports Incorporated, Ink Shrinks Tattoo, Origin Wellness CBD, Spartan Martial Arts, the Striking Institute, James Clark Sports Psychology and Hypnosis Therapy, the Fighters, and my mom, Damion. We're joined today to talk to the fans about what.
This is on the record. We're going on the record about our thoughts on drug testing and the regulations behind it, what they test for, and things like that. Because we all know at the highest level of the UFC, there's USADA running everything, and then at the highest level of ONE FC, there's nobody testing for shit. So no, no, but anyway, seriously. uh, on the local level, there's testing depending on where you fight. I guess the casinos will test, but it's I think only 3 fights total, I guess. So if and the thing too is and they're all random, I'm pretty sure, or it's the main event, the co-main event, and then one random fight. And I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember exactly how it works, but it's something along those lines. And the thing that they're not testing for steroids. They're testing for recreational drugs. And it like, so are you doing this as punishment to the fighters who are out having fun? No. Are you doing this to the fighters who are out like partying and just doing stupid stuff? Or are you doing this to try and punish the cheaters? And because of how the tests are based in what they're actually looking for, tend to believe that you don't actually care about catching any cheaters. You care about catching, I don't know, drug abusers and things like that. I don't exactly know where I was going with that, but I was just making that statement. Do you have a response to that?
No, I'm kind of with you. I mean, like, obviously, I get it. I understand. I've read the stuff. I know how expensive the extensive drug testing is. But like you said, I mean, are they doing it almost to put on the facade? Like, hey, yeah, we test our fighters. But it's like, man, that's a Walmart test. I mean, you can pass that if you drink enough water in time. And I mean, so I mean, it's just like, what is the accomplishment? I mean, and I mean, truth be told, I'm not sure. Have you ever heard of anybody failing a local drug test?
Yeah, I
I can't think of anybody.
yeah, me neither. But there's definitely been people. There's been times. Okay, the time where we were thinking, oh, they're going to drug test us. We find out that they're not going to test us for steroids or anything like that. But all I've been doing is smoking weed leading up to this fight. And then we were like, well, I get, yeah, you're implicated, motherfucker. You cornered me and I was smoking the blunt with you. There you go. On camera, everybody knows. So anyhow, we go into this fight and we're just like, should I try and quit these last 2 days? Because it's only 2 days. I'm like, that's not enough to get it out of my system. Even if I'm cutting weight and all that stuff, I'm just like, whatever. I don't even care. I'm just gonna smoke anyway. So I'm on weight and everything. Like, I'm not really cutting any weight. I fucking felt great the entire time, smoking weed all the way through. Probably only had to cut 5 pounds the day of, which really isn't even cutting weight. I woke up, didn't eat, and by the time weigh-ins happened, I was on weight. You know what I mean? And I was smoking the whole time. All I had to do was just resist the urge to munch, and I was good. And then after the fight, they're giving us the drug test. And I'm like, crap, they're going to give it to us or whatever, right? So they gave me the little cotton swab drug test and everything. And then they put it in their little kit thing or whatever and turns the right color. She says, yeah, you passed. I'm like, I passed? Really? She says, you're not supposed to look surprised when we tell you that. And I'm like, oh, I'm not. I'm totally not.
Yeah. Why would I be surprised right now?
Right. And then we pretty much get the rundown of everything that they're actually testing for and what they look for. And it was not anything that was going to help me win that fight. I mean, at least, I mean, granted, like, I guess if I was on cocaine, maybe it could help, or maybe it could hurt a whole lot. I will talk to John Jones. That interview is going to be set up one day, not anytime soon, though.
Yeah. Talk to you soon, Johnny.
Yeah, but anyway, like it's just like they didn't care if I was cheating. They care if I was breaking the law more, you know. And then I don't know. And then one of the things that I was thinking after that was, let's say you and I are matched up against each other, and I know if they do test us, what they're testing for, and it's not going to be anything that I care about. I don't care if you're smoking weed. I don't care if you're on meth. Maybe I do if we're in a fight, but you know, like I don't care if you're a drug addict or anything. That's on you. But if you're smoking weed or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But that's all that they're going to test for. Well, and I say, well, why don't you test for steroids? Well, that'd be too expensive. The commission would have to pay for it, or the promotion would have to pay for it, or we'd have to decide who pays. And it just, I don't even know if that is ever a debate that has ever come up or anything. I don't know. But I do know that it's going to cost some cheddar cheese. So with that being said, let's say a fighter decides like, hey, I will spend the money. I will pay the $500 for your test and the $500 for my test. And granted, I don't know if that's how much the test costs or not, but like, let's just say it's that much, $1,000 for you to test TJ and myself. If I was to present that to the commission, would the commission make you do it? Because I guess technically in any contract, or even when you sign up for your fight license, you're submitting to any random drug test if they want to. And now let's say I'm your opponent and I want to randomly drug test you and I pay for it. Do you think that they would abide to that? I mean, especially like, I mean, if I paid to test you, you have all the right to want to see my test too, but I'm not paying for that. Does that come out of your pocket? Should I be forced to pay for both of us if I want to see your test? There's kind of a lot that goes with it. There's a lot of things that like I'm starting to think of as we're even talking about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm trying to think of it as if I was the fighter and the opponent was doing that. And I mean, fuck my opponent. So naturally, I don't want to do anything he wants me to do. So even if I'm not worried about passing the drug test, if they're just like, no, he wants to take a drug test, I'm like, whoa, fuck that guy. You know, I want him to go jump off the nearest bridge. Is that cool? But then, you know, but then you come on top of the principle, and I mean, this has been an argument in prior fights. I mean, this is going old school, but back when they were trying to get the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight together the first time, was the drug testing was one of the arguments, and it's just, you're paying for someone, for all I know, you're paying someone you know to stab me with a needle? Nah. So, I mean, I don't know if the commission could enforce it, but man, if it's a donation into the commission for the fight from an anonymous source, I think we just opened Pandora's box.
I think so, dude, because you just brought up an interesting point that I didn't even think of before, because I was saying, like, why would you agree to it? Okay, so if you do agree to it, who's paying for it? It's going to be your opponent. But then you want to see their drug test too, because, oh, you want me to get tested, you asshole? I want you to get tested. How about that?
Right.
And then, well,
Yeah.
I'm paying for yours. And then it's like, well, then, yeah, pay for yours too. Pay for both of ours. It's like, no, I'm not paying for mine or paying for yours. You know what I mean? Like, then it becomes that whole measuring dicks, like who's going to pay for whose money it's going to come out of. And then it's probably going to end up settling on like, dude, we're both fighting. We're not paying for shit. Let's have the promotion pay for it. And that's why we're even having the argument in the first place.
And the promotion's in the back looking out the window like this.
Yeah, like, I don't know what y'all talking about, but
Oh yeah, argue.
But the whole fact of trusting somebody else, that they're trusting someone that was paid by your opponent to stick you with the needle or to collect your sample. However, even if they're not, like, let's not make it any extreme of the needle or the speculation that could come with that. Let's just say they take a urine sample and then they say that it was tainted.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Not even on anything sketchy. I mean, your brother-in-law's a doctor. You want him to stab me? I don't know that guy. What are you talking about? Like, nah, we need third-party independent consulting, and then that's when it comes down back to, like we said, the promotion and the promoter. He's looking out the other window over here because he's like, oh, did y'all hear that? Well, so someone slammed the door over here.
well, one of the things too is like the argument is always going to be is like how necessary is it on
Yeah.
the local level because they're just amateurs, you know. And I'm like, and that's a solid point. Don't let me dismiss that at all, you know. Like I fucking get it. I'm like, they're fucking amateurs. Most of these guys are going to be 1 and 2 and done, you know. Like they're going to get 3 fights and then quit, you know, even if they win all 3. Some of them, you know, it's just that's how the amateurs go. That's how fucking some of the pro fights go, you know.
100%.
But anyway, it's just like people are gonna say like, why is it worth it to test these guys, you know? And then, but just on the flip side of that, I mean, why it is worth it to test these guys is that some of these guys know that this is all that it's ever gonna be. Like, granted, some people are they want to be the biggest fish in a small pond. Like they want to be King Dingling in their high school town. You know, they never take any fights outside of their high school town, and they fight there 3 times and then retire, and then they stay in that same hometown and they tell everybody that, hey, I'm an undefeated fighter. You know, and no one in that hometown questions them. Like I've met a few of those guys that just like these dudes are fucking turds, but everybody they went to high school with back when they were like 30 years ago and shit. No, but back when they were in high school, they were the shit, and they even stayed back and won a few fights and were still the shit to the people that all stayed around or whatever. But you guys are in like this little small ass area, and some people are really happy with being that guy, and those are the guys that I know to do the steroids. Like I was actually the champion of a guy's promotion who did that thing that I'm talking.
Took me a second, but I know who we're talking about. And we don't got to throw him under the bus too hard because the wheels are still rolling. But yeah, no, that's
right. Like that
yeah.
happened. That it happens. And I'm like, if anybody is gonna be on steroids and stuff, it's going to be those hometown guys, and that's where it's like it gets to be the dangerous part where it's like, yeah, I get it. Like, it's not worth it financially to test everybody all the time, especially a lot of their shits are going to come a fucking negative. You have a bunch of 19 and 20-year-old kids that are fighting the like they're still kids. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but you guys are still kids. Like, I still feel like a fucking kid. Like,
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I mean, and when it comes to that, you said, I mean, the definition of it, I mean, it would be few and far between. The idea of the martial arts of getting into fighting is to test yourself. So, I mean, there's a small number of guys, and I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, this isn't the Wild Wild West back where it was a huge number of guys. I think if people are still using it, it's a small number because I think they do see that, well, if you want to be the best, you got to get to the UFC. And if you're getting to the UFC using something, well, they're going to catch you pretty damn quick. And then there goes that bundle. So I think a lot of guys are doing it. But for the few, for the guys that are doing, I mean, it is dangerous. Like you said, I mean, if you're out here doing that, and I think it's a sign of mental weakness. I mean, it's a sign of ego. It comes down to it. It's people that don't feel they're good enough to win a fight, but can't stand the idea of losing a fight. And it's such a weird concept to try to explain, but that's where that extra steps needed. And if you need that, when it gets taken away, we've seen it. I mean, the UFC is the biggest example when they started pulling the plug and nipping this. How many guys were the man and then just kind of just disappeared? I mean, the numbers for themselves. So this has actually just turned into drugs anti-steroid PSA, and I'm going to stay behind it.
yeah, dude. Like honestly, one, if you're like how you said, the UFC is catching everybody that's doing it anyway. So if you get to that level and you're having to use that, then you are already fucked. But I mean,
yeah,
you have to use something extra to get to the level that, and then once you get there, you're not allowed to use that, and then you're expected to stay there, you're probably going to have one of the harder falls, and it sucks, I mean, and then now too, you can't even be one of those guys that brags about it, talks about it in the gym. Hey, I'm on steroids, you guys. Everyone's gonna look at you, especially at the up and coming level. I do have sympathy for the people who have been in the sport for however long, been a superstar or whatever, right? And then it's towards the end of their career and they're still trying to hold on to something because even though it's been however long, they finally are closer, but their skills are way worse than what they used to be just because time and everything. And then now they have to use something extra just to stay there or whatever. Like, I feel sorry, like not, like I feel bad for the people who have come to the point of doing steroids from that aspect because it's a whole mental fucker.
Yeah.
It's a whole mental fuck, but the people who had to do it before they even got there or before they even know what they're capable of doing, like, you already knew that you were a ratbag piece of shit and that you couldn't do it, so you had to take something extra just so that you could convince yourself that you could possibly do it, and then you still struggled to do it even when you were on the shit, but then I pitied the guys that have done it like for so long and stuff, and then because like now this is my only way to keep up. But then you have guys like Michael Bisping, and Michael Bisping is one of those guys, like, I respect him for a lot of the things that he's done, but I also don't like the dude, and he's a douchebag. He tries to talk about like how he's so much better than everybody, or not better than everybody, but like he'll call you out for your actions or talk shit about your actions when you do something wrong. But this dude was the coach of the Ultimate Fighter and then squirted a water bottle in another opposing fighter's face because they won their fight or they were cheering for another guy or whatever. He's the type of dude that he's done so much shit that he's talked shit about. Like, he's the biggest fucking contradictor out there. But anyway, he is a prime example of a guy. If he did steroids at the end of his career, I don't think anybody would have, whatever, like, it just would have been a shoulder shrug. But he still didn't do it, and then he still became champion. That's, dude, I can sit and talk shit about Michael Bisping all day, but dude, that's respect right there. I don't care how you feel about the guy. That's respect.
No, 100%. If there's anybody in the world, and you nailed it fucking perfectly, if there's anybody in the world that would got a pass to use steroids and beat the shit out of someone, it's Michael Bisping. You're talking about a guy who lost his fucking eye because he fought a guy on steroids who fucking kicked him in his shit. A guy who never threw kicks his whole life, a little guy named Names Vitor, gets bigger than shit and starts throwing spinning axe kicks. Literally lost his eye. He has a fake eye because he fought a guy doing steroids and took his lumps, never complained. So if anybody got a free pass, it would have been him, and he still said fuck that. So
point proven, case made. If you do steroids, you're a bitch. This is Talk with Damion and TJ. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. If you don't, you're a hoe.